Welcome back to Lichen. I'm your host, Usneagle Bressens. Today we'll be discussing Lolo. What is it? And why am I making a video about it? As always, those were the questions I was asking myself, and now I'm going to tell you all about it. Basically, we're doing another Conlang relay, like a game of telephone, but with languages, or like that Google translated 100 times, or Chinese whispers, if you're not normal. I say we, but it was actually someone else. I'm just here for marketability. No doubt I was chosen because of my remarkable upload schedule. But whatever, the task was to make a speedlang, a fully functional constructed language made in as little time as possible, with constraints imposed by someone else. But first things first, the person before had the same rules, so the first step is to decode their message into English. So here's the text. As you can tell, it's not in English. It is written in an unnamed language created by Space Dirt. Their language has a small consonant inventory with confusing layers of allophony. It has no grammatical marking and free word order and liberal use of idiophones. Now, I may not know what an idiophone is, but that's okay. This wasn't my language to make. The first step is a basic gloss, the literal meaning of these words, which is lightning strikes, rocks fell perfective, the tower around. Fall perspective, passive causative, your failure from my success, together you, we, footsteps. I see eyes and self you be afraid of quotative, I speak to imperfective, beckoning relatives, moon cried out, perfective dative applicative. The tracking, imperfective, middle of the day you leave, perspective allative. Now you may note that these look an awful lot like grammatical markings, which I said that there wouldn't be. Well, apparently role marking is different from whatever this is, no matter. Now, we just have to make sense of this. The idiophones will have to be translated as onomatopoeia in a language without idiophones. The first sentence is simple. The tower fell around the rocks. I almost want to say it should be the other way around, but it says the preposition comes before the head noun. So this is the translation I went with. However, I'm not the one doing the translation, so that's not how it was translated. It was translated with the rocks around the tower and the lightning doing the falling, and the rocks have become singular, whatever. Similarly, this next sentence was translated as success from failure, not vice versa. Fall with all these modifiers is probably some metaphor for to happen, so my success may arise from your failure. The next is clearly just you and I walked on the path. Now, there are 5 nouns and room for 6 nouns in this next sentence. It sure would be nice if we had word order or subject-verb agreement, whatever. I think the 2 best options are I see eyes and say to you, be afraid of yourself, and I see eyes and say to myself, be afraid of you. Like I said, what I say doesn't matter, so the direct object of to say is dropped, that's fine. Not like it was specifically marked for transitivity, and eyes become singular. The idiophone becomes onomatopoeia, and the possessive relatives can be interpreted as both genitive and nominative. So my family cried out to their moon. And finally, you left the tracking path in the middle of the day. I don't know whether this participle is past or present or active or passive. Tracked path. Now, what language did I have to translate this into? Well, I didn't have to do anything, but the language that was made had to be made with rigid conditions imposed. It had to make a distinction between 3 kinds of coronal consonants, only 3 different vowels, and it had to be tonal, which it isn't, but who cares? It also needs to mark for tonicity, have an active state of alignment, and have multi-level augmentatives. Now, I don't necessarily know what any of that means, but that's fine, because we really have aspect, not tonicity, because it's not inherent to the verb's meaning, but marked by an ending. Also, we're ergative, but it depends on whether the absolutive is actually fulfilled or not, so to speak. So basically, we start with phonology. 3 vowels stacked on top of each other, 17 consonants, which is actually 47 consonants, which is actually just 17 consonants, and we have 12 vowels. These augmentations aren't expressed orthographically, only the effects they have on the vowels, but I guess this way of looking at it makes sense a little bit. Whatever, we're doing the Proto-Indo-European thing, where instead of having words, we have roots that need endings. One of these endings if it's a noun, and one of these if it's a verb. If it has neither, it's a conjunction or something. You can make a word bigger by making its vowel ah or softening the consonant. You can make a word smaller by doubling it. You can do both of these for however much sense that makes. So, how do we translate this? Well, ksha is ksha. Lightning is sky brightness, with it being the ergative agent striking the rocks, which is the verb in the aorist, and the rocks are the object, and they've been fully struck, so accusative, and they're big rocks, so augmented. Their verb is being near, which is atelic present, and finally, the tower is just a place in oblique, because that's how you do locative, and of course, the na part of this does not seem to exist. Anyway, this is a minor success, so we diminutive it and give it an absolutive ending because to arrive isn't transitive, nor is it telic. Well, it is telic, but it shouldn't be. And then mark it as possessive for me. Similarly, failure is marked as oblique and as yours, even though that doesn't make a difference because the oblique ending is already rounded, and the verb ending is the telic present of to arise, which is just the future tense. Path is also diminutive and oblique, again because it's locative. You is the ergative agent, and so is I, because to walk is a transitive verb now, I guess. I guess dogs. The verb is the augmentative for to step with an atelic present. In the next sentence, I am once again the ergative agent. The verb is see with the atelic present, and the absolutive object is eyes, but we don't have a plural. God didn't create a plural noun, and it's blasphemy to include them in your conlangs. Anyway, then there's a conjunction. In syntax, this word is be afraid, which is why the object, so to speak, is actually the genitive of yourself, and the subject is that of an intransitive verb. Exclamation. Agent is family, again it should be a subject, but what do I know? Verb is to scream with telic past. Moon is the oblique, in this case dative, being possessed by them, the absolutive. You know, this sentence definitely translates to they cried themselves to the moon. Whatever. Of course, the time period comes first. This is an SVO head first language, so we use the diminutive and augmentative of day for the middle of the day, and then we don't include the ending, which makes it a particle, though I would have used oblique. You is again the agent. The verb is to leave in the perfective. The path is absolutive, the unaffected object. And of course, this word means worn down, which I guess is an okay translation for tracked or followed. We use this thing on the end to form participles. Of course, there's nothing indicating passivity, so it could be the path which has worn down something. But I'm not a linguist. I'm just a stupid chud. Fakirujte moju glupuju chudovu жизнь. Anyway, that was Lichen. Have fun.